Hi, I'm Matt with Woodland Scenics. Now, as I mentioned in the past, I really enjoy modeling with water scenery on my layout. So in this video, I'm going to share with you how to make a spectacular waterfall for your own layout. I'm going to be going over some great tips and techniques on how to make some cascading water. We're going to be doing some splashing from your waterfall, a little bit of current in your water, and finally I'm going to be giving you some great tips on how to paint that layout and bring that waterfall to life. So let's go ahead and get started. Now the first step you're going to want to do is do a little bit of research and look at some images on all the different styles of waterfalls out there. You want to pick one that's going to be easy to model and it's going to match your layout. On this particular one, I chose a waterfall that's going to fall directly down versus cascading down the side of a mountain. I did that by using a lot of our Woodland Scenics products. I used some of our rock molds with lightweight hydrocal. I actually custom made some rocks with our lightweight hydrocal, and I designed a shelf that's going to allow that water to fall directly over that waterfall. Now let's break that down just a little bit. Because the waterfall I've chosen has a lot of elevation to it, I want to make sure I have a lot of structural integrity underneath it as well. I did that by using 1-inch foam boards, and I cut the general shape of my waterfall out. Now once my foam boards are in place, I go ahead and fill in the general contour of my landscaping with crumbled up paper overlaid with Woodland Scenics plaster cloth. This is going to give it a nice strong shell to build my landscaping upon. At this point, it's time to add rock to your landscaping. The easiest way to do that is to use the Woodland Scenic rock molds. They are offered in a large variety. You can easily build up the front of your landscaping very quickly. Because I enjoy carving, I went ahead and also carved a few rocks of my own out of lightweight hydrocal. Once your rocks are all in place and you're satisfied with the look, go ahead and paint them using the leopard spotting technique. Add landscaping, and now we're ready for the water features on your layout. Now that we have our rocks all painted, we can now turn our attention to painting the area where our water is going to be on our layout. A great tip would be to paint the area where you want that deep water a little bit darker, and paint the area that's going to be shallow a lot lighter in color. Woodland Scenics makes that very easy with a variety of pigments, and you can mix that with colors of your own to get that variation you're looking for. And again, I really enjoy modeling the water features on the layout. It's a lot of fun for me, and there's going to be multiple ways to actually model a waterfall. I'm just going to show you a couple of them. The easiest way to get started is to take a measurement of where your waterfall is going to be on your layout. You want to know the width of the waterfall for sure. You definitely want to know how far that waterfall is going to fall down to the layout. And once you have those measurements, it's now time to move to the next step. Now with any waterfall, you want to model it on a non-stick surface. I prefer to use plastic coated paper because I find it releases the easiest. Now go ahead and squeeze water effects directly out of the bottle onto your wax paper. You want to squeeze strips the length of your waterfall plus an additional ½ inch so you can feather out the ends. Now to feather out your waterfall, you can use a few toothpicks or a pointed object to help taper the edges. Now this style waterfall I really like to use for any type of cascading. You could even cut that down into smaller pieces to tumble over rocks. It's just a very versatile looking waterfall. Now this next style waterfall is the actual style I chose for my layout. But instead of squeezing strips of water effects, you actually want to create the outside edges using that water effects right out of the bottle. Now a great technique at this point would be to use a thin tool, either a dowel or even a pencil, and stipple the edges of that waterfall in a downward motion. This will pay off later by giving that waterfall texture. Now once your water effects dries, you can now fill in those shapes by using Woodland Scenics Realistic Water. By doing so, you can now stack these shapes in front of each other and have a very clear and translucent waterfall. This will give your waterfall a very three-dimensional appearance. Now before moving on to the next step, you want that realistic water to dry 24 hours. Now the final step to prepare your waterfall would be to add a little bit of color to it. I like to mix a little bit of Woodland Scenics white pigment along with the water effects and stipple that on in a downward motion. This will give the appearance of suspended water or foam in your waterfall. Now once you get the look you're satisfied with, let that dry completely before removing from the plastic coated paper. Now as you can see from my layout, when I was in the design process, I knew I wanted my waterfall to fall from a lot of different areas. I got a lot of cascading rocks to go over. I got a lot of protruding rocks to fall from, and these are the details that you're going to want in place before attaching your waterfall. Once your waterfall is ready to attach, it's very simple to actually attach it to the layout. You simply want to attach it to the very edge of the rock it's fallen from. You can use a little bit of the water effects right out of the bottle, and simply use that like glue. Once you have it attached from the top, figure out where that's going to lay in the bottom. If you need to trim it a little bit, that's okay. Or you can just simply use the water effects again right out of the bottle and paste that down with a paintbrush. Now once all your waterfalls attached and in place, you want to continue to add water effects right out of the bottle at the base of the waterfall. This is going to give that water a lot of movement, or make it look like there's water falling into the water itself. The more you add on there, the more texture and the more movement the water will have. You can also continue on through your layout with water effects and imagine where that water will be tumbling over rocks and add that texture to it. You can do this as one step or as many steps as you want to get the look you're looking for. Now at this point, we're going to be turning our attention to the smaller cascading waterfalls in your layout. You can put those wherever you see fit on your layout, but the more you add, the more detail it's going to add to your layout, and it's going to be more interesting to look at. Now this is a perfect example to use the other style of waterfall that we made earlier, and attaching it is going to be the same way. You can use water effects either directly out of the bottle or add it on with a brush and attach it from the top and work your way to the bottom and attach it where it's going to fit into your layout. Now once all your waterfalls are in place, you can go back and add an additional layer of water effects. Now as I mentioned earlier, a great tip, you can add a little bit of the Woodland Scenics white pigment to your water effects, and as you place that onto your layout, you're going to see how that water is going to look rougher as it tumbles down over the rocks. And as a final step, pour on your Woodland Scenics realistic water. This is probably my favorite part, because as you apply that to your layout, you're going to see that waterfall come to life. So you can see all these products in all of our instructional videos at woodlandscenics.com.